All right, March 2025 update. Here we go. I've got a deadline. I got to end this in like 12 minutes, 13 minutes or so. So let's do this quickly. It's March 28th because tomorrow I'm flying to Shanghai with my family for a week-long vacation. Just the boys. Kelly had to go to work last minute, so she's not going to be able to come with us. I'm excited about it, but also a little scared because it'll be the longest that we've ever been without Kelly. It'll be nine days. So yeah, we're 10 days. 10 days. So 10 days without mommy. Just the boys hanging out in China. It's a little scary, but I'm also excited. Okay. And so because of that, there's not going to be any music happening. So here's the update. I don't know where to start, but this was the month of performances. Project Maximus, my band, was going to start performing this month. So March 8th, we had our first show at Rev Now. That was also an Electric Monk show. So I played in both bands. And it was nice because it was the first show for Electric Monk in a year. We had a long hiatus because we were getting a new guitarist. And the new guitarist is great. He's loving it. And it's kind of infectious how much fun he's having. So it is exciting to play with Electric Monk again. It was also exciting to have my band perform its first show ever. And it was hard. It went fine. Can't complain too much considering we rehearsed once. So for one rehearsal, I was quite pleased. I did learn from that show that I really, really would rather not perform the entire night. So I'm going to try to avoid playing in multiple bands on the same night. So anyway, March 8th and March 13th, we had our second show at Final Decision, and that was double bill with Church of Loops. Church of Loops asked me to perform with them. I politely declined, and then they asked me again the week of the show, but they said just play 2 songs and no rehearsal, and it's 2 songs that I knew really well. So I was like, okay, sure. So it wasn't bad. I mean, that was an easy ask, easy lift. I didn't mind performing twice in that context because it was really chill. It was just violin, so I didn't have to bring a lot of gear. The venue already had a piano, so I wasn't being tasked with bringing extra gear. I didn't have to rehearse, and then we did some jams too, some improv. So it was all fine. The show went better than the first show, so there was a little bit of improvement. I was pleased again. I felt like I was probably personally the hang-up, but I was the one, the weakest link, I felt. But we also needed more rehearsal, and I think partially the fact that we didn't rehearse a lot weighed on me, and so made me have to think about a lot more stuff during the show, so I couldn't just focus on my own singing. And that's something I've learned, is that if I'm really going to sing, it's the hardest instrument for me. I can play violin, I can play piano, I can even play guitar without actively focusing too much. But the voice is the one that I have to actively pay attention to when I'm doing it. And so when I have too many other things to focus on, it's hard for me. I can't just rely on having this amazing voice that some singers do. And I don't want to take away from what they do, because they probably would tell you, no, it's really hard work. But still, if you have an amazing voice, it's kind of a crutch that you can lean on. I don't have that crutch, so I really need to focus when I sing. And it's hard when I have so many other things to do, and we haven't rehearsed enough, and I'm worried about what everyone's doing. So anyway, point is, that's another thing that I've learned is I really need to free up myself to focus, free up my mental space to focus on singing during performances. Okay. Then show number 3 was an acoustic set, and it was scary because we went to Manila for work. I was there for 5 days, 6 days, 6 days pretty much. And so in between these 2 shows, I had almost no rehearsal. I came back to Taipei, and then John, for the acoustic set, John is my percussionist. She showed up. We did sort of a dress rehearsal on the day of the show, which is never something I would normally want to do, but it was the only option we had. And then the show went pretty well. Every show incrementally has gotten better. So the acoustic show was at this venue called Clash, New Taipei, and it's an awesome venue. And when I get a following, I will definitely go back there. It's not the kind of venue that has an audience, so built-in audience, you have to bring fans. But the space is awesome. Like, it looks cool, it sounds amazing, and the owner is great. I really liked him a lot. So yeah, someday we'll go back and bring people. Yeah, so acoustic set. And then last night was show number 4 for the month. Last night was at Revolver, the best venue I've played at. We're opening for a Japanese touring duo. And then there's this new Taiwanese band that played second, and the whole lineup was awesome. We opened, and I thought it was the best we've played, the best we've sounded. Still things to work on. Don't get me wrong. Definitely things to work on for all of us. But it was the best that we've sounded, and yeah, and the whole show was awesome. It was such a great night last night. I loved it. One thing though is that my drummer Punch informed me that I already knew that he couldn't play all of April. So I knew that we were taking a break from playing with Punch. But he basically let me know that it's kind of indefinitely for him, because all of April, but perhaps May, June onward, he's not going to have time because his work's gotten really busy. So until they can hire more people, he's not able to play. And I don't know if that's an excuse or not. I think there's a lot of validity to it, but it was sad. I mean, he clearly had fun. He really enjoyed it, and he was awesome. So I think he would want to keep playing when he can. Anyway, so he said we'll stay in touch and see when he might be available in the future. Having said that, I was already talking to another drummer because of the scheduling problems, because I knew Punch going to play in April. So I have another drummer who's going to be playing with us, doing a show in April. April 12th is going to be my next show. And so we have another drummer coming in, and I've played with him before in another project, and he's really good. So hopefully things work out with him, and then we'll be able to keep going. Nicolas, the bassist, played great last night, and he, I don't know if I've talked about it before, but he was kind of like a weight around my ankles before, because I felt like he was the one who he didn't want to rehearse. So this is why we weren't ready for our shows, is because I wanted to rehearse months ago, but he didn't want to rehearse until we were getting ready to perform. And he just never seemed that into it. But over the course of this month, after each show, he's gotten more and more into it. And last night, he was just like, he seemed super excited to play more. He was talking to me a long time about what we should do, where we should play, how we'll keep getting better. And he seems very emotionally invested in the band now. So it's nice. It's nice to see that. That said, I do have some scheduling problems with him as well. And then there's an amazing bassist who reached out to me. I think it was early this month. Another bassist who wants to play for me, and he's really good. Like, he's a pro, and it's quite an honor that he was like so. That he wanted to reach out, and he wants to play. So we'll see. Something to juggle. Axel on guitar, he's so busy and he hasn't really had time, and I get all of that. So Axel is probably the weakest player so far, but he's an amazing guitarist. But just in terms of knowing the parts and knowing what to do, and it's probably the most demanding because the bass and the drums are able to play their parts based on all the recordings. But with Axel and I need to work together very closely, and he's doing a lot of stuff that's straying from the recording. So there's a lot for him to try and remember. Anyway, but that's the band. That's the situation. We had our best show last night. It was awesome. Had a lot of fun. Excited to do more. So we'll see where it goes. Next month, I have that show, April 12th. It's a really casual show, and we'll have a new drummer. So we'll see how it goes. And then Electro Monk has shows in May. We're playing a festival in Tainan. That's very exciting. It's a festival that I wanted to play at for the past year since I learned about it last year. So it's cool that we were invited to play this year. Project Maximus didn't get a chance to apply. I didn't realize how early it was this year. So it's something. So it's good to go do this festival, find out what it's about, and then maybe my band can play next year. So we'll see. And then we also have Electro Monk also has another show in May out in Taoyuan. So it'll be a new venue, maybe a new crowd. So it'll be interesting to see. Speaking of which, with Electro Monk, one other change for this month is that I decided to invest in my equipment. So I went and I got a kick-ass synthesizer. It's a used one. I got it for an amazing price, and I got it pretty explicitly to use for Electro Monk because I was tired of playing with the guys on less than adequate organs. So yeah. So I invested in something for the band. I am also going to. I'm in the process. I've been searching, and I'm going to buy something for the violin as well to really make my violin sound much better in the live setting. So I'm investing in equipment to be a pro at what I'm doing. You know, the keys, the violin. I had to think about it, and it was a conscious decision to try to make sure that I can do what I'm supposed to do on these instruments. So far it's just violin, piano, not guitar. But it's a start. I'm like saying, all right, I have the skill and the ability to do these things. Now I should have the equipment that allows it to come through. All right, I'm really needing to wrap up soon. So I did want to add a few more things. Let's see. I am going to be a regular guest on the Asian America podcast, hosted by Ken Fong. So yeah, I'm excited about that. He wants to kind of have a backstage view of my musical career journey here. So I think I'm going to go on his show every couple months and just talk about what's happening. So it's kind of like this right now, but probably in a more interesting and illuminating context. And he's a really good interview host, so he'll probably get me to talk about a lot of things that I don't think about. So that's exciting. I've really been wanting to do that, and I had been spending some time kind of chasing that down and in different avenues, not just with him. And so now it's happening, so it's great, and I don't have to expend energy trying to figure that piece out now, because I really want to have a way to share my story. Yeah, and keep myself accountable, and then have something that I can look back on for my own enjoyment in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess the only other thing was I feel like so from the psychological mental aspect, let's see. I want to say that this month alone, I've finally come to realize there's so many highs and lows in this journey for me. Um, Probably for the most part, when I've looked at it holistically over the last year and a half, I feel like my musical journey has just been like easy. Everything has come so easily. Everything that I wanted happened. So it hasn't been a lot of like wins and losses, successes and failures. It's just been wins and successes, one after another. But that's deceiving, because when I think about it, there really have been a lot of highs and lows. It's just that the struggles were in the in between moments. So they weren't really losses or failures. They were just like struggles kind of pulling me down, almost taking me to a failure. And then I would eventually come out of it and score a win. So, it, it hasn't been all easy and all like positive. There's been times, even this month with these shows, during rehearsal, sometimes I've questioned whether we can actually sound good as a band, like get the sound that I'm wanting. And there's been moments where I was like, oh, we just don't have enough rehearsal time. What are we trying to do? And I just almost gave up a few different moments. I was just like, okay, is this possible? Yeah, I'm going back to that time now. There's a few moments where I was just like ready to quit. And it was for a lot of reasons, but there's the doubt that comes to me often, where I ask myself, can I sing well enough to do what I want to do? And I think the answer is yes, I can, but how do I find that path? So I think what it comes down to is going to be rehearsal a lot, because I can see, as we actually rehearse a decent amount of just bare minimum adequate amount, once we do that, then it's already improving so much. So that's probably the path, and that's what I need to remind myself. It's just about putting in the time. And then the other thing I want to say is, like, I do feel so comfortable on stage now. Like, I mean, I'm not natural on stage, but I no longer have this fear. I used to have this deadly fear on stage. Now I don't. I don't. I love it. I relish it. There's some nerves. There's some understanding of, like, not everything's just the way I want it, but I am not scared of the spotlight, and I'm not scared of the stage. And it's been a huge revelation. It's been slowly happening over the last few months. I'd say since the turn of this year, like January, February, March, has been a new page. And I go to open mics and I don't think anything of it. But a year ago, open mic, I would freak out. And I try not to show it. And usually I'd succeed in not showing it, but inside I was always freaking out. Now I'm comfortable. And yeah, that's the biggest change. Okay, I gotta go. Thanks for listening. How do I end? Thanks for listening. Peace.